I have the merit and the gift from God to be able to write and author a series called The Daily Dose of Emuna. It is a daily blog talking about Emuna that strengthens our Emuna, our knowledge of existence, of knowing the interaction with God. I started writing this Daily Dose of Emuna about 9 years ago. Anybody familiar with the Daily Dose of Emuna? Anybody know? Some? Yes? Great. Okay, so the Daily Dose of Emuna was born out of my diagnosis of multiple sclerosis 13 years ago. I was diagnosed with my last pregnancy with multiple sclerosis. I'm on amends, thank God. It's still there on paper. I'm still diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, still have my difficulties and difficult days, walking, relapses, medications and such. But I was faced with a very great adversity, namely because I'm a chef by profession and I ran a very successful catering company actually here in the tri-state area called Kosher Designers for 15 years. And I ran this beautiful business, and towards the end of the 15 years, about 13 years ago, I felt some symptoms. And long story short of it, it ended up being diagnosed as being multiple sclerosis. And that brought upon a whole chain of other events, other difficulties and challenges financially, with children, and so on and so forth. That eventually led us as a family to make Aliyah to Israel about 10 years ago. This summer is 10 years. High price to pay to have to sort of get up and leave, but thank God, worth the price. Worth the price, but definitely high price to pay. The change came with a lot of, like I said, a lot of challenges. When I made Aliyah, now I'm a chef by profession, so yes, my body might be saying, sit on the couch, don't get up from the couch, you don't have the strength to do anything. My mind was saying, are you kidding me? What do you want me to count the spider webs on the wall? I mean, really, like, what do you want me to do? I'm action, fire, what are you telling me? And I couldn't get myself to be settled, so I started doing some self-exploration, you want to call it, self-introspection, started to try to understand a little bit more the nuances of life. Freshly out of the going into tshuva, because I wasn't always observant all my life either. That in itself is a book and a story. I started to explore some of the glimpse of not so much why, although probably at the time I did want to know, why did God give me this MS? By the way, if anyone knows Hebrew, MS sounds like MS, right? So that was already my first hint. I said, okay, you gave me some sort of truth package here. I want to know what that means. And I just started attending classes and learning with the local Rebbitzin, and my hand was the first to be raised at every class, challenging the Rebbitzin, saying, I don't believe that God loves me. He gave me this, 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 and that. And with every raising of the hand, I got an answer back, and I'd be like, okay, got me there. And then, okay, yeah, you got me there. And that was the progression over a period of close to a year. Every week, tissues in hand, crying, accepting the answers, going back home, playing it again in my brain, saying, oh, okay, I just learned something else that I did not know before. There's, we're passing around a notepad and also a little notey pad that I would like for you to put your name, fill out the form, and also put your name on the little note posted pads, because we're going to do a raffle at the end of the evening and raffle off a beautiful gift basket, also with my new book and all kinds of energy, beautiful remedies and such. So you can win that at the end of the class. So as a whole, I, again, week after week after week, and at one point I could no longer ask any questions per se. I didn't say I have all the answers, but I realized that at one point I could no longer question the goodness and the benevolence and the compassion of God. I realized I have the knowledge. I knew at that point. It was no longer a belief that if one day I hurt my foot and the next day I have a relapse, that knowledge of knowing that God is with me and that He loves me didn't change. And that's really where you know that you're sort of on a good track, that no matter what happens to you, the circumstances of your life don't dictate whether you have a relationship with God or anybody for that matter, right? We still need to love our spouses and our children and our neighbors and everybody. We're still supposed to love everybody, even if there are difficult challenges with them. We have to remain loyal to a certain level of a relationship with them, right? So God requires the same thing from us, no different. So I started realizing that I had something to sell. And I said, okay, I'm going to start writing like this blog. I'm going to just share some information, right? Share the wealth. I'm going to start writing. I wrote to family and friends. I had about 30 on the list. Used the regular Gmail. I started just writing, hey guys, I'm just going to write you some daily, I called it the daily dose of Ahavat Yisrael. Daily dose of the love of Israel. Let's just learn to love each other. It was during the Omer. I said, okay, between Passover and Shavuos, I said I'm going to go and I'll write. And before I turned around, everyone was writing me, their friends that they were passing it on to, can you sign us on to the email list? What email list? I don't have an email list. Can you send us to the daily blog? What daily blog? I'm just writing. And this is how it grew and grew and grew until today we have, I even stopped counting, thousands of women who are now on what now is called the Daily Dose of Emuna. And that eventually turned into a book, which is the first book that I have outside, 180 Degrees in 180 Days, a lesson a day. 180 lessons, 180 days, every day, little bit, drip, drop, little bit. Oh, I didn't know that about God. Oh, I didn't know that. And, just learning a little bit more and more and more with the inquisitive mind, right? Getting to know a little bit more. And then I realized, first of all, what I was starting to realize, my relapses were getting less and less frequent. And the moments where I was on steroids and medication to take down the MS were becoming less and less frequent. I went from 3 relapses a year to once every 3 years. And in between, even the relapses were not so, save me. I was bumping into walls, I was falling down, I was with the leg drop, couldn't move my leg. I had the whole MS thing. Really, it wasn't just a simple MS, relapses. I was homebound for 8 months at one point, wheelchair. And so I realized that I have to get down to the bottom line of the truth of, if you're sending this to me and you love me and that knowledge is so strong, well, I'm going to live in that space. Now, I was very realistic, and I still am. I still take my medication. I'm still very grounded. I still recognize the responsibility of taking care of my health, but I do other things to complement it. And so I developed a passion to start teaching women, not so much like I practice energy medicine, and it's a very, very new thing in the Jewish world. A Rebbitzin is practicing energy medicine. Wow, that's like, isn't that voodoo? Like, what does that mean? And I have rabbinical, approval and referral from my rabbi, who, has looked into the methods and such. But the idea of the energy was, I was trying to figure out a way to activate some healing energies that I knew are existent, because I knew in my head that if I had something going on with me, there was a deficiency in my body, a challenge in my body physically, I recognized that I must have it in me. God created the ability to also get out of it to some degree and be able to live with it. And so we all have in us, and this took me on a whole new whirlwind of discoveries, that I discovered that really we have it in us, and we see this when you have a little boo-boo on your hand, right? You don't have to do anything. It just starts to heal itself, right? Dorian, go to the Bahamas in 6 months from now. I promise you, you will never know there was even a storm, a tsunami? I don't remember what they categorized it. It's just destruction, right? You won't even recognize that was there, because inherent in the world is this ability for a person to find their own healing path. And if that's mind, body, soul, however you want to call it, it's the new Eden of medicine. And scientists are coming, very much to the forefront of this. What we've been taught in the texts of many, many, many years and thousands of years from our forefathers, right, from God. And we were taught that really you can reverse or accentuate the healing energies that you have in your body by coming to certain conclusions in your life and certain truths in your life, and thereby open up the abilities for this healing energy to be reactivated in your body, and the body can literally turn around itself, right? Hence some of the reasons why I call the books turnaround. But I realized that the idea of turning around has to do with the concept of turning around your emotions. Because if I am angry and I feel life is unfair, if I'm frustrated, if I'm saddened, if I'm in despair, if I have no hope or feel completely at loss within myself, then I'm really fighting my reality. And when I fight my reality, I constrict. And when I constrict, just like anything else in life, when you constrict, you're not open up to receiving that which God wants to give you. So I realized I have to give up this constrictedness and begin to embrace my reality for whatever it is. And today I realize, 13 years later, that if it wasn't for my MS, I would never be here right now. And I would never be able to sell you the idea of Emuna either. How would I be able to explain to you that God is good unless I have some sort of experience in it, right? Otherwise, I'd be selling, they say, ice to Eskimos, right? How can I sell the idea unless I myself am going through the experience? So I recognize the importance of emotional release. And one of the main concepts that I talk about in my new book, Turn Around Your Emotions, is understanding the body, mind, and soul connection. Understanding that there are emotions in me that unless I really come to a greater level of truthfulness about what I'm feeling inside, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail in a moment, then I really am in a place of constriction. I'm in a place of like that. And who wants to be around someone whose energies are like this, right? Everyone wants to be around someone who's wide and open and expressive and articulate and positive, right? And so I recognize that I need to start opening myself up. And how do I do that? I got to go to the places that really hurt. And I like to compare it almost to like surgery. When, God forbid, a person needs surgery, right? You could put another Band-Aid and put another piece of ointment, another smear of ointment, and you can go and, try to do as much as you can on that boo-boo. I'm a mother, right? So I say boo-boos. And you could do as much as you can to try to allow that to heal. But sometimes you have to go into it, take out whatever's there. A day later you say to yourself, what was I thinking? I wasn't in so much pain. It's even worse now than it was before. What was I thinking? But yet, we're on the mends. So it gets worse before it gets better, but at least it's finally healed. And that's essentially the process that some of the concepts of the book take us through. Is you start saying to yourself, wow, that's really me. That's really what's beating inside of me. I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe I'm jealous. Yeah, I walk into my friend's house and I'm jealous. I'm jealous of her husband, I'm jealous of her furniture, I'm jealous of her kids, I'm jealous that she's married, I'm jealous of everything. Yes, okay, so I'm jealous. So now what do I do with that? Now I have to learn to release that. I can't just keep carrying that around with me over and over again, because that jealousy, in fact, and I bring this down in the book, it says specifically in the Torah, jealousy leads to the rotting of the bones. In fact, as every one of the negative emotions that we have eventually leads to some sort of emotional or physical ailment. So if there's something going on, right? For instance, people who have knee problems. Most of the times when you think about the idea of knees is, what do you do with your knees? You bend over, right? I guarantee you, if anybody here, I'm not pointing out, I don't know anybody who has, in this immediate audience per se, who has knee issues, but if a person has knee issues, they have to start looking at some of maybe their level of, I'm not bending over for anybody, right? I'm not going to allow myself that flexibility to sort of not stand tall in front of that person. It could be one person. It could be one person in your life. And whether it's on the right side or the left side, it makes a big difference too. Whether it's in the inside or on the outside, everything. God is very precise. If He gave me MS, there's a reason why He gave me MS and He didn't give me something else. That MS speaks to me. It has a language. All illnesses speak. It has a language, right? I had once a woman who sat in the audience who said to me that she was just diagnosed with breast cancer. And this was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was a little bit daring at the time. I still am sometimes a little daring, and it's not easy to sometimes hear what I have to say, but for the most people I find who I attract to come to the classes, they're truth seekers. They really want to do some real healing. They're not interested in Band-Aids. But I've done enough Band-Aids, right? They want to really, really, really heal. And I said to her, so what's the issue with one of your kids? What's going on? Because breast cancer is an immediate, it's like nourishment. It's the nourishment. It's the milk you had, when you were a child. What's going on? Of course, the hysteria and the tissues and the Kleenex began, but that led her onto a journey that only last night. Was it last night we were in Woodmere? Last night. The hostess who keeps bringing me back, so obviously I'm not that damaging, right? She keeps, 4 or 5 years later, she said to me, you have no journey that one sentence brought on this woman. She went ahead, she made peace with her father, she made peace with her mother, breast cancer gone, everything turned around, and today she's on a mission to help others and express to them that their body really talks to them. Our bodies talk to us. There's a reason why I poke this finger versus that finger, or this hip versus that hip, or anywhere in the body. My body is speaking to me. It has something to say to me. And if you'd allow, is everyone into doing a little somatic exercise? Yeah? Great. So everyone finished doing the sign-up thingy? Is the boring part, but yet the after, right? Everyone signed in? We're all signed in? No? Okay, whoever didn't, raise their hands, and whoever has the booklet, and yep, great. Start passing it around. So let me just give a preview until we finish signing up everything we need to sign up. And I need you to cue me at about 8:30, 8:45, so I know I have to wrap it up. Tomorrow morning, I meant. So yeah, everyone's for a slumber party with his pillows. I heard them. Yeah. Okay. So one of the ways I want to give practical advice. I don't want anyone walking out of here with just notes. I want practical. We need, right? We need substance to this class. This is not finding parking in the city justifies. Give me something, or getting the train or whatever it is, that the mechanism. I know my husband, it took him a long time to find parking. At the end of the day, I want to give you a couple of different tips of working together with your body to help you release certain emotions. One of the ways that we can help release certain emotions is through what we call somatic experiencing. If everyone knows Peter Levine, the very famous author, he talks about the whole idea of that traumas reside in the body, and there's a way to be able to access it through our body. And he teaches, his course is massive. I haven't taken it, but I've grabbed bits and pieces, and together with the energy basis medicine that I've learned, I was able to come up with a couple of different exercises to hopefully share with you and the other women that when I travel to help them. One of the things that I've come to understand, that there's a beautiful mechanism of releasing emotions, and that's through the power of touch. Touch. Okay, and I know that when I say that, I most of the times find women squiggling in their chairs, that just even the word to some women sounds it just doesn't sound right. What is that? What am I touching? It almost feels like there's an invasion here, and it's a shame, because it's such an important part of our healing journey. When we're in adversity with somebody, and you don't find the right words. The skin is the largest organ. On the skin surface are sensory nerve endings. When we touch, the whole idea of touch, it's not an emotion, it's a feeling. But when you touch, that feeling leads and gives birth to an emotion. It stimulates memories. It also, of course, has beautiful health benefits, stimulates the immune system, the pleasure centers, the circulation systems, the pancreas, I have it all written down, my whole science book here. It generates so many amazing positive aspects: serotonin, endorphins, kidneys, pancreas, circulatory systems, bone marrow, regenerates your bone marrow. You wouldn't believe the amount of healing that comes from a simple touch. And science brings down, that the skin is, when you touch somebody's skin, when you touch your own skin, you're touching the cortex of your brain. You're actually communicating with your conscious aspect, the lobe of your brain, your frontal lobe of your brain. So it's so tremendous in terms of allowing for things to flow, opening up the energy lines, allowing more healing to sort of be generated inside our actual body. So not only that, I'm getting a little bit into some even mystical teachings. 10 fingers. There are 10 energy centers. Anybody hear the word sphera? Anybody know what spheres are, right? Spheres are there are 10 energy centers through which God communicates to us. It's a manifestation of His divine energy and light, through which is poured down into our bodies. And it's, I'll name it for you, even though it's on page 91. When you, God willing, get the book, you'll be able to learn a lot more about it. But you've got the Keter that sits right here. And so when the Keter the energy centers open, you have clarity of thought. Like anybody who has fuzzy thinking, some clients come to me and want me to do energy work with them. If I hear that they have fuzzy thoughts, memory problems, those issues, I right away go to their Keter and see what's going on there. Let's just start to energetically start putting things back together in its place. Okay, that's the Keter. Then you've got Chokhmah. Chokhmah is the right brain. Now we're already talking about wisdom, we're talking about knowledge, we're talking about knowing, we're talking about inspiration. I'm inspired to live my life like... If I meet a person that has no inspiration, and sort of like, yeah, I got up in the morning and another day, another dollar, and yes, again, life is very disappointing, then I have to check their chokhmah. See, where's their inspiration? Where's their spark of life? Where's that knowledge of knowing I have a place in this world, right? Then you've got bina, right? Bina's left side, left brain. Bina, word bone, building. That's knowledge, and I begin to really formulate something, a concept. I have a concept, now I begin to think about it, I begin to analyze it, I begin to build on it. It makes more sense to me. I have more grasp of that knowledge, it becomes more substance. Then I have da'at. Now we're already talking about the throat area right here. Lots of people have issues with their da'at, their vocal cords, their center, where they can't express themselves. Let me teach you something amazing. You've got 3 middle energy centers. You've got your Keter, as I said, this is middle axis. You've got your dot, which is this middle axis. And you've got your reproductive, you have your Tiferet, you have 4. You have your Tiferet, which is your stomach area, okay, that's the torso area. There's actually, you do have 3, because Keter and da'at are most of the times interchangeable. But let's just say 3, 4, whatever, you got the point. Right, you got the torso, that's Tiferet, and then you've got Yesod, which is the reproductive area. Okay? The way that this is all creative energy. Right? Here we create physically, here we create emotionally, here we create vocally, and here we create mentally. If one of these centers are clogged, and I find this a lot with, let's say, fertility issues. Women or men who have fertility issues. I generally have to start checking these creative centers to make sure they're thinking, they're creative, their thinking is creative, they're out of the box, they're more flexible, they're able to expand their thought processes. Number 2, they're vocal, right? If people who don't talk suffer, I want you to know, to keep track. People who don't talk suffer from headaches more than anybody else. When you don't talk, what happens? All that energy is sitting there in your head, mishkabobbled. It's boiling. Thoughts that aren't expressed, energy in general, stagnant energy that's not expressed creates fire. And it literally can, quote unquote, burn out certain brain neurons. It can actually cause for certain circuits to stop working and communicating to one another. I cannot express how important it is for you to express, articulate, voice your voice. It is so important. I find many people, many women who I work with, who have these grand ideas. Oh, I have this idea of a startup company. I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, what's going on? Bring it on. Do it. I can't. I just can't seem to make it happen. Are you talking about it? Are you speaking? Are you talking with God about it? Are you talking to people about it? No, I don't know. I don't know who I should talk to. I don't know what I should say about it. If you don't open up this center, then all of those ideas, all that creativity stuck in your mind, you've got to bring it down. Then you've got to bring it down into your stomach. What happens in your stomach? What happens in a person's stomach? What goes on in the digestive tract? Science. Come on. A little bit of science, Emuna, emotion. breaks it down. The way the food started, when it went into the large intestine, is that the way it looks when it exits the small intestine? No, complete transition. This is the place of transition. People who have digestive issues, again, all this is also in the book, but I want to stimulate and get you to really be interested in the book, right? Anyway, so the idea of stomach usually points to a person emotionally who has problems with transitions. They're starting a new job, they're going into college. Usually that means the nervous stomach, right? Anytime we're in a process of something new, because this is the place where things change. They go through a transition. But unless I release and allow this change to come through, I can't bring it down to the next energy center called Yesod, which is the reproductive organ. And that's where you bring things physically. You create what started out as a thought. Now you've brought the thought into reality by speaking about it. Then you've churned it and built it in your stomach, gone through it. Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, maybe I should do that. I'm not so scared. Okay, it's going to be a change, but I could do it. All the emotions that get stuck in the stomach. Once you get through that process, you churn it, you burn away, you what happens also in the stomach? You throw away the toxins, right? It's where the separation happens. These are the nutrients that are good, stay in the bloodstream. These are the nutrients that are bad, go out. Right? All of that happens in that whole stomach area. It's the last spot where the separation happens. Happened a few times before, but it's the last stop. Then I can go ahead and be in the procreative process, that's where physically we create life in the reproductive organs. Do you see how the way the body works? So I could say to myself, wait a minute, why is God giving me problems with my throat? I don't understand Him. It's not fair. Such a beautiful voice. I don't understand why He took it away. And when all God is trying to say to you is you've accustomed yourself to not speaking, you haven't utilized the energies that I have given you, and thus the body is a very good listener. When the body has not been used for certain purposes, it begins to just numb, right? It doesn't regenerate itself. The newness, the new energy doesn't sort of come in. So it's very important to utilize. There's a reason why you have every part of your body. You want to utilize every part of your body. Use your voice, use your stomach, right? Use your hands, use your touching, use all your senses. Use them. Use it or lose it, right? You have to use everything. They're serving a purpose. And this is the way we move forward. So going back to the original plan was to start talking to you about the whole idea of touch. Now I want us to be able to use now the power of touch. Through the 10, I began this whole series by saying the 10 fingers, 10 energy centers. When you use your two hands to touch a certain part of your body, you are essentially activating all these 10 energy centers. Okay? All of these 10 energy centers, you're actually sending energy to that place. So let's begin. It's a very short exercise. You'll be amazed to see what your body has to say to you. If you've never tried this exercise, you will definitely be amazed. So let's everybody try to just take things off of your laps and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit as I begin to get you into this exercise. Okay, so just gently close your eyes. Now just know, I do not look at anybody. Everyone thinks, oh, she's looking at me. I'm not looking at anybody. Nobody's looking at you. I'm looking at my papers, into the camera. That's it. And I just want you to feel comfortable. Just close your eyes. And I'm going to just talk while you find your breath, while you find your quiet space. And I'm going to just bring your attention to what we're going to be doing. We're going to be placing our hands on our body sort of to cue up a level of attention, form a relationship with a part of our body. And when we touch our body with intention, with awareness, with focus, then we sort of interact with that part of our body from a place of inquiry. We begin to become very inquisitive and wonder what is there. And this exercise just works perfect when you get a sense of tension or discomfort and you want to know more about what that place really is holding, what energy, what memory. So when we're going to place our hands in just a moment on an area of the body, and I'll soon guide you through that, Please make sure that your touch is very gentle, it's very kind, very. And the best way to touch your area of your body is to just slowly and gently touch that place with your hand, your right hand, and then your left hand over the right hand. Sort of like cup the area. Okay? And then hopefully you'll begin to slowly and softly feel these heightened sensations and information coming to you. Okay, so as I'm finishing the explanation, I want you to be very spontaneous with this, okay? When I'm going to tell you right now to identify an area right now of your body that needs attention, the first place that you notice in your body is your place. Don't question it. Don't change it. Don't exchange it. Just slow down and notice that area. And now, if you feel comfortable, again, I'm not peeking. If you feel comfortable, I want you to slowly place a gentle right hand on that area, and then the left hand over the right hand on that area. And again, please make sure that touch is very gentle, very soft, very receptive, as though your hands are listening to what that area of your body has to say. Stay in touch with that place. Open up to the experience of the words, the memories, the thoughts, the colors, the images that are coming to you right now through your body. Have a conversation with it almost. But the most important thing is to welcome whatever comes and breathe slowly and consciously now into that area. And send your breath into that place that you're working on right now. And I want you to even find yourself in a space where you feel the divine loving energy enabling you through your breath that He's giving you. I want you to connect to His love and send some breathing love and warmth to that area. And just stay very mindful, keep listening, keep inquiring what else that area has to say to you. Very receptive, very warm, very much willing to receive the message. And as you breathe into that space, see if you notice if anything is lessening, changing, opening up, releasing. Be very patient. And we say bli neder, which means without a promise, but yet with a sort of agreement. I want you to sort of communicate to that area of your body that you will continue, particularly throughout this month, to work on attending and offering your love to that memory, that unsettled emotion, the trapped feeling that's still there, that maybe you weren't able to completely lodge out of its place right now. Send a message, make an agreement, sort of bli neder with yourself, that you will continue to work on this area, particularly throughout this month leading up to Rosh Hashanah, and try to release whatever's still lodged there. And when you're ready, feel free to gently open up your eyes. And I'm going to call upon a brave soul, one that's willing to share their experience. I can edit this from the tape if anybody wants, but if anyone would like to share with me their experience, because I'd also like to be able to help them through, and then everyone can learn from that experience what they're supposed to do. Did you see it? Were you able to feel it? Were you able to sense it? Many of us have issues even giving us permission to feel our own emotions. Some of us don't even allow ourselves to even do that. So, anybody would like to share? Yes.
I felt my heart.
Yes.
And while I was feeling my heart, I was thinking about loving more from myself, loving other people, loving other things, but to love more than the reverse.
Did any memory come up?
Did any memory come up?
As not being able, like if your attention went straight to your heart, and the idea that the more love needs to be in your experience, right? So did anything come up there that kind of might have hinted to you that there was some sort of blockage there that didn't allow that to come out before?
I would say that my mind has not been loving. And I would like it to become more loving.
Beautiful.
In general.
So do you think you can use this sort of activity and exercise to enable yourself to be warm? Look, you're putting your two hands, using your sensory, to be able to communicate a message. Remember we said touching communicates a message to the cortex of the brain. So when you did that, you were communicating with the brain it's safe to open the heart and experience more love, giving more love. So you can continue to work on that and continue to practice it, and God willing, still keep working on that, opening up, right? Anybody else want to share? I'll go to number 2 if anybody feels like it. No? Yes? Maybe? I'm not convincing. Anybody? Did anyone not feel? Let me start. Did anyone not feel something? Did anyone not get a communication from their body saying to them, there's an area? No? Everyone got the communication? Let me just ask this, okay? Trying to look for some validation here in a quiet crowd. Anyone feel they were able to actually do something? Move something? Get a memory? Get an aha moment? Yes? I'm not asking for an aha moment. You had something? Beautiful. Okay, that's beautiful.
I just want to share in general, like, when I touched that area, like, it was the weirdest thing, like, a thought that came out of my brain that, like, I wasn't expecting. Like, I was totally thinking, I was thinking it'd be this thing or that thing, and it was like, it just spoke to me.
Isn't that
So weird.
But now you know that your body is made of divine wisdom and really has a whole story to tell you. And if we just stop for a moment, and look, how long did we spend on this? I'm telling you, 5 minutes. I mean, I know I kind of rushed us through. By the way, if anyone wants this meditation, this exercise in audio form, just email. The card has my email, the postcard. I didn't even talk about the postcards. I have to talk to you. Did everyone get one of these? Also? Okay, so pass these around also, I'm sorry. So on these postcards, I'll stop for a moment. There's an email address. So one side just talks a little bit about the book and the mission of the Daily Dose of Emuna. The other side got coupons. I hear that we in America love coupons. So these you don't have to worry about flipping through the pages. They're all here. There are 3 different coupons here. One is if you feel like you're interested in doing a one-on-one private Emuna session with me. So I'm giving 15% off of the regular price. Number 2, if you feel like you're also benefiting, God willing, everyone's going to benefit from tonight, then you can continue the journey through joining one of the other upcoming, more intense workshops, and you have a coupon for that. And the most amazing experience is if you feel like joining me, an amazing group of women. We have one woman already, Simcha, joining us on October 29th to November 4th to Uman, going to Rabbi Nachman, the Baal Shem Tov. We go for 5 days, 5 nights. We have an amazing experience. Get ready to laugh, cry, sing, dance, fall, everything. Any emotion you have packed in you that you didn't even know existed will come out in 5 days and 5 nights. It's an amazing experience. I've been doing this probably now 4 years, and we stay in touch. All these women meet, most of them have never ever met before. After one day, hugging each other. It's such an amazing experience, and it's something you take with you for the rest of your life. And I have many women who go on numerous times, but you have $100 off also on here. if you can, you want to join. And I purposely did it after the Chagim, after the holidays, so that when you're sort of done with the elation of all the holidays, and you're like, okay, now what? This is the month where we go ahead and we try to stimulate those senses and keep it going. So, definitely take advantage of that and stay in touch. Also, by the way, this class and all classes in general from the Daily Dose of Emuna are uploaded on TorahAnytime.com. And you're welcome to subscribe to my speakers page there, and then just follow so that you'll get notified of all the latest classes. So just so you should know that that's there as well. So this was, again, just one form of emotional release. But there are other, and hopefully we're going to get around to doing one more. I'd like to be able to give us one more exercise. But I want to teach something that's an amazing, amazing concept. Anybody hear about the brain reward center in the brain? We have an actual center in the brain, and it's called Brain Reward Center. When I asked the question before, what is God's purpose of creating this world? I'm going to give you the answer, and soon now I'm going to try to prove it to you, so to speak, somewhat in the few minutes that we can afford here, how scientifically it's backed up. Okay, God's intent. God's intent is one. Live a life of happiness. Oh my goodness, I'm really far from God's intent, aren't I? Live a life of happiness. That doesn't mean be giggly and be a silly goose and walk around with a bowl on your head, even though Rabbi Nachman actually says, do whatever you can to live that joyful experience, even if it means putting a bowl on your head and going, goo-goo-goo-goo. It doesn't matter what you do, just keep the smile on your face as much as you can, because it keeps you alive. Because the DNA of this world is the intention of God's thought. And God's thought is one. And it says, Ani Hashem lo shiniti. It says in Sefer Malachi, I am God, I have not changed. What it means is if I'm not experiencing happiness and joy, contentment. I'll go into that a little bit more in a second. That means essentially, God didn't change anything. I've changed. My ability to receive His intent and His purpose and His design in my life didn't come through. The best example, got a great doctor, patient, IV bag, tube going into the vein. The doctor puts in beautiful medicine, healing elixir medicine, meant to heal the patient. The nurse forgot to sanitize the pipeline. What ends up coming into the vein? Very dangerous stuff. Very harmful stuff. God's intention is the IV bag. Lots of goodies that He wants to give us. Goes through the pipeline. As it comes in, if the recipient is in a different place, is not the vessel, as they say in more Kabbalistic terms, the vessel is not aligned to receive. It's almost like a piece in a puzzle, right? If the vessel is not aligned to receive exactly what God wants, His full intention, it's not received in that mechanism. The chemistry, if you want to talk biochemistry, the chemistry of what is fed down into the person's experience is not the same. And I'll give you just a brief example. The word oneg. Oneg means pleasure. And in fact, the Ramchal brings down in the dust that the only purpose that God had when He created in His thought us in this world, in Lincoln Square Shul, right here, His only purpose was to create a pleasurable experience, right? That was His only intention. But that's called oneg. Ayin nun gimel. That's how you spell it in Hebrew. But if those letters find their way to switch around through this pipeline from the IV into my vein, what does it spell? Nega. Nega means plague. Nega means darkness. Nega means, oh, that hurts. This is horrible. How could you do this to me? But it started out as ayin nun gimel, and then it just switched around. Why? Again, vessel not aligning to what it is meant to receive. It's like taking a beautiful crystal vase and pouring tons of rocks in it, and then shatters. right? It wasn't intended for that. So if I'm not receiving that which God intends to give me, it will be perceived in my experience as something bad. That's the best way to try to explain a little bit the nuance of why good things happen to bad people. I just really scratched the surface. The brain pleasure system is meant as such. And here I'm going to go into the science of this teaching of the Ramchal, that the whole purpose of creation is for everyone to be happy. What does happy mean? Happy has a couple of different levels. Happy at the baseline is accepting. I accept. In fact, there's a commentary that brings down hugging your reality. I take my reality, I hug it, I change what I can change in it, but I accept what I can't. Right? I do what I can to make things better. You're not supposed to be complacent, sit on the couch and say, oh, God gave this to me, I'm just going to be in full acceptance of everything, and even if it's... No, we're in a position to be proactive co-creators, and we want to do what we can to make things better in our revealed, right, experience, in our limited experience, in a limited sensory experience. In the brain, going back again, in the brain there's a brain reward system. How does it work? We are introduced to an experience, okay? What they call a stimulus, right? I'm now engaged in an activity called washing the dishes. Boring. Dishwasher is meant to be doing that, not my hands, not Palmolive. I love the Palmolive lady, but really, I don't want to be doing those dishes, right? Now I'm engaged in an experience that I am not happy with. Now I'm going very basic. We can interpret this and apply it to everything in life, okay? What can I do to try to experience some sort of level of acceptance, contentment, happiness? Like I said, there are different levels. Acceptance, contentment, happiness, and, downright love of what it is. That's like a real high level up. Okay, that's like almost angelic, but we can get there. There are plenty of people who actually can love their experience even though it's not the best. What happens? When I'm engaged in an experience, the mechanism in the brain is that in order for me to interact with that stimulus, the brain says, oh, dopamine, let's go ahead and bring and flood into the bloodstream from the neurotransmitter called dopamine. Let's just flood, because now she's involved in activity. Hopefully, she will be happy now. So, in order to set up automatic response is dopamine. Now what happens? If I'm involved in an activity and I enjoy it, after the dopamine, what is triggered? Two other, out of probably many other, but the two main other neurotransmitters and biochemicals and hormones. What is excreted? Oxytocin, which is the loving hormone, okay? And serotonin, which is the happy hormone. All fine and dandy. I love washing dishes. Dopamine brings me oxytocin, brings me now serotonin. All is great. But what if I don't connect to washing the dishes? Dopamine is excreted and is infused into the bloodstream. And now the stimulus is not bringing me satisfaction. What happens? In its place comes stress hormones. Cortisol and adrenaline. Everyone knows what adrenaline does. Let's go get something better. I'm not happy with this. I can't wait to be done with the dishes and go and do my jogging, eat my chocolate cake, right? Do the laundry. Well, right, that doesn't go one to the other. But whatever, something else. Because we are dopamine addicts. We're always searching for the pleasurable experience. It's psychological oxygen. It's been proven scientifically we cannot live without pleasure. And if we don't get it from our life, we will be seeking out, like addicts, self-comforting alternatives. You cannot live without a pleasurable experience. It goes hand in hand with what I just said is written in the Torah. You cannot be engaged in your reality and not have pleasure from it or contentment from it, because if you do not, the adrenaline and the stress hormone cortisol will keep you inflamed and thirsty and driven to finally meet your craving. Anybody want to lose weight? Don't raise your hands. We all do. I raised 2. right? The best diet that you can give to yourself is enjoy what you're eating. You can enjoy the carrot, you can enjoy the chocolate cake. The minute you send to your brain the message, I like what I am eating, you will get oxytocin, you will go and get serotonin, your satisfaction will be embraced, you will have no need to have 10 pieces of cake. One will be enough. You can still have the cake, eat it and be skinny. That is the key. God just says, enjoy what I am giving you. If you do not enjoy, you will be on a constant pursuit to satisfy this need called pleasure. Why? Because what you're really seeking out is a pleasurable experience of purpose and value and love and meaning, not the chocolate cake. You don't really, that's an alternative. It's a cheap alternative. Even though I love chocolate cake. Follow me on tour anytime. You'll see I talk about chocolate all the time. I'm definitely a chocolate addict. But at the end of the day, what we really, really need are these biochemicals to be constantly secreted because they're the baseline in this biochemical beautiful mechanism that God created in our bodies. We are fed immunity and endorphins and circulation, and we're sending neuropeptides with emotions, happy feelings. Can you imagine if you can hear the way the cells talk? Hey buddy, come over here, it's a party over there, let's go. Or the cells saying, oh my gosh, another day in this body, she's schlepping me around, I don't know if I want to live here anymore, right? The cell, it should really be a Disney movie, right? Can I get percentages on the next movie? Can't we offer that to this, like cells, right? Wouldn't that be a great thing? Cells. Why don't we call the movie Cells? You know what? Anybody?
They did that with Inside Out, actually.
They did?
Yeah.
I have to. Okay. All right. So that's good to know. So the idea is that we really, here we're talking about emotions, but we're also talking about Emuna. And it strengthens us to understand that what God really wants for us is really to find pleasure in that activity. How can you find pleasure from something that's painful? Now that we're sort of at the end of the class, what do you think is the answer? Practically, what can you do right now and apply to your life when you're involved in a very painful experience, yourself, God forbid, or experiencing it from another person? What can you do? How can you make that pleasurable? How can you even get to, let's start with the basic, how can you accept it? What is the baseline? How did we start the class? Knowing a true knowledge, going back onto that knowledge that God is with me, that He wants for me to develop. He wants me to find Him through my experience. He wants me to heal. If I have a pain in my body, God sent it to me, because just like before I go out to an important interview and I just had a glass of chocolate milk and I have a chocolate milk mustache and my friend hails me down and says, wait, you can't go like that, clean it off, here's a napkin, right? We want to be told of our blemishes, correct? When you go to parent-teacher conference, I know we don't want to be told by the teacher that our child is this, but why do you go to a parent-teacher conference unless you want to be told the truth? You want to be able to correct, right? At the end of the day, your body is telling you what needs to be corrected. Your experiences are telling you, the people in your life are telling you what is blemished and what needs to be corrected. Because if I was perfected in the area of generosity, then I wouldn't need someone to come and tempt me to give him an extra $1, right? If that wasn't an issue in me, then I wouldn't have an issue giving him an extra $1. But God is telling me through my emotion of stinginess or whatever it is, that I have a restricted heart, that I'm not really as good as I thought I was. And God is then calling upon me through this painful, annoying, uncomfortable experience that I need to now expand, and I need to reach out to Him, ask for help from Him, talk about it. We said right here, talk about it, release it, express it through personal prayer, through talking with a friend, through talking, with my husband, if he's really up and open to wanting to listen to me, whatever it is, I need to be honest with who I am. And unless I'm not, I remain in this constricted mode, and then the healing light is really not able to get through all the crevices of my body. So I want to do one extra exercise, and with that we'll call it a night, and then we'll pull the raffle. Do I have the basket? Wherever it is, if it can find its way to me, at one point I'm going ahead and draw that. Okay? And then, thank you. And then we're going to go ahead and have... Anybody have any questions in the meantime, by the way? Any questions? So again, let me just mention once again while that area is done. Books are outside. Hardcover of the new book is $18. If you buy both, then you get 10% off of the two books. I think we have the soft cover, so instead of $38, it's $35. We also have gemstones out there. I recently got my certification in gemstone and mineral therapy. Certain gemstones radiate certain energies. The basket's out there. That all goes to Dr. Gila Gavrielov, who's my teacher and mentor in gemstone therapy. That's also out there and available for you. Okay, yes? If we could pass down the basket just so that I'll have it available. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll draw that in a moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish and do one more exercise, which is, again, very, very powerful. Okay? And this exercise will give us a gauge, number one, of where we're stuck. Okay? And also enables us to also send some healing light into that area, something like what we did with the breath, but it's a little bit different, but it has a lot of power. Okay, so let's go ahead and once again find our space to close our eyes gently, and just take a nice soothing deep breath. And I want you to envision in your mind's eye the 4 letters of Hashem, and I'll spell them out for you, for everyone, who Yud, and then a Hey, and then a Vav, and then a Hey. I want you to see that in your mind's eye when your eyes are gently closed. Just see that Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. And now I want you to try to move those letters a little bit closer to one another, like you're squeezing out the empty space in between those 4 letters. And I want you to take those 4 letters now and place them in your mind's eye on the top of your head, sitting like a crown. And I want you to begin to scan those letters from head to toe, following my cue. Okay? So they started out on your head, the top of your head, and now I want you to allow those letters, however it appears to you, as a swirling motion, a sweeping motion, a clouded motion, one by one, all of them together, however it comes to you. Take the letters and let it descend into your forehead. Just sort of do a scanning. Let them begin to descend from your forehead to the temples of your head, your eyes, your nose, your cheeks. Try to get them inside your ears. Going down into your mouth, you may even feel like you can even swallow the letters, allowing them to cleanse the vocal cords. Descending down into your throat. And now settling on your shoulders and finding their way down from the shoulders, going into the elbows, going to the wrists, and even massaging and scanning every single one of your fingers. And now bring that back up to the throat and allow it to descend down into your chest. Scan into your lungs and take notice where it's difficult to hold those letters steady and strong over that particular part of your body. And let it go down into your heart. Further descend, massaging and going through all of the internal organs, the kidneys, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the gallbladder, all areas of the internal organs. And it's descending down into the intestines, the large intestine and the small intestine, settling down on your hips. And again, take note of the subtle sensations that might arise as you move the letters further down into your thighs, descending to your knees, going down to your ankles, hitting all of your toes, and now your entire body has basically been scanned and is settling in with the inner light of the divine name. Just sit there for just a moment and enjoy the presence. If you want to, you can even go back to the troubled areas. Try once again. Bring those letters, those healing energy of the letters, the Yud, and then the Hey, and the Vav, and then the Hey, over those areas once again, seeing if you can somehow gradually get those letters to embrace and encircle that area. And once again, when you're ready, you can gently open up your eyes. You see the letters lit up, and imagine almost like a marker. You're starting to draw and or radius. See, everybody has a different imagination, so you could see those letters with beams of light, and they're filling in the crevices of that empty space. You can see them as markers, drawing in or smearing in. Everyone has a different experience. That's the beauty of each person. They have a completely different experience. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I'll end off by saying stay in touch, join a workshop, come with us to Uman and Ukraine, follow us on Torah Anytime, Facebook, and any of the other places, and thank you for coming. Thank you to Lincoln Square Center. Thank you to Tamar Fix for being instrumental in putting this night together. I should have said that in the beginning, and Stephanie and the whole crew here. And it was really an honor to be with you. Shana Tova Umetuka. We should, Be'ezrat Hashem, have the merit to see the building of our holy temple, Barachamim and Eretz Yisrael, all joining together with happiness and health. Amen. Amen. Thank you.